counseling, psychotherapy. I am a visiting faculty for management institutes in Mumbai, and from last 13 years I am practicing as a psychologist. Today we'll be talking about overcoming anxiety. First and most important thing, anxiety is about future. Right. Depression is about past. Anxiety is about future. And anxiety is related to threat in the future. The main theme in anxiety is threat. So we will understand this step by step. What is exactly anxiety? What symptoms it can produce? So what symptoms anxiety can produce? Like there are different common symptoms on different parts of the body, like breathing and chest, skeletal, on sleep, on your skin, mouth and throat, on your speech, intestine, and other areas of the body. This is well known fact that anxiety has impact on our body also create. Not only that, there are other impact also, cardiovascular, vascular, then urinary and other impact. So these are the symptoms of common symptoms of anxiety. What anxiety actually is exactly? How we get the anxiety? There is a specific threat in the mind about the future which is there. Not only that, then specific irrational belief. We will see what is irrational belief and all that. Specific threat, specific irrational belief, which leads to emotional consequences. We feel emotion, anxiety. Then specific threat, specific irrational belief, behavioral consequences. Again, specific threat, specific irrational belief, thinking consequences. So there are three types of consequences about anxiety. One is emotion, behavior, and thinking. Now you become anxious when you perceive a threat to one's personal domain. Like threat, as I already said, hold a set of rigid and extreme beliefs about this threat. So when our thinking is rigid or extreme, that time the anxiety we will feel. Now what is before we talk about anxiety further, it is very important to talk. Human beings are not disturbed by things, but by their rigid and extreme beliefs that they hold about the things. So what screws us most is how the external thing supposed to be, right? So in that, if our thinking is rigid and extreme belief if we have, then we will feel anxious. And disturbance, what we feel, is largely the function of our perception, evaluations, value system, and component of our personal philosophies. Now to manage anxiety, we need to learn to think rationally about the threat. Rational thinking is flexible and non-extreme, whereas irrational thinking is rigid and extreme. Rational thinking helps to face the threat. It also helps to deal with it effectively, and you can get on with the business of living effectively. Then these are emotions we feel, healthy negative emotion and unhealthy negative emotion. Are you going to feel positive about the threat? Are you going to feel very excited about the threat in future? Any danger is there? Are you going to feel? No. That means we will feel something negative, right? So, but here I have classified, the important thing here, healthy negative emotion and unhealthy negative emotion. Whatever I am talking today, I have taken mainly from the books of Dr. Wendy Dryden. So he has classified HNE and UNE. Up to HNE, we can say whatever is happening in the outside world is responsible. So there are different HNE like concern, sadness, and UNE. Concern, anxiety, sadness, depression, and so on and so forth. So up to healthy negative emotion, we can say whatever is happening outside world, that is responsible. But when we move from healthy to unhealthy negative emotion, for that our thinking or belief, that is responsible. So our aim of this today's session is moving from unhealthy negative emotion to healthy negative emotion. That means moving from anxiety to concern, right? That is the aim of the today's session, right? Now, when we feel the unhealthy negative emotion, the effect is also on our health. But when we feel healthy negative emotion, that time the effect is not on our health. Now then, here see healthy emotion, unhealthy emotion. But from where it stems? Rational or irrational belief? If your beliefs are rational, you will feel healthy negative emotion. Your beliefs are irrational, you will feel unhealthy negative emotions. Then there are two types of belief: irrational belief and rational belief. Irrational beliefs are rigid, rational beliefs are flexible. Many times, like people say, okay, rational, what do you mean by rational belief? What do we mean by irrational belief? What are the characteristics? In irrational belief, our thinking is extreme. In rational belief, our thinking is non-extreme. Then dogmatic, non-dogmatic, false, true. I will give you the example after some time. Unrealistic, realistic. Illogical, logical. Unhelpful, helpful. Unproductive results, productive results. It creates UNE, unhealthy negative emotion, and I have already said it creates healthy negative emotions, right? Now, rational and irrational themes. So we have just now seen, we will be talking about now themes, because anxiety has got theme behind it. So it's important to understand what theme I have about my anxiety. So in anxiety, anxiety can be felt about different things. What are those different things? Failing at important tasks in life or at work, not being liked or loved or being accepted by others. In India, this is very much, their relation, because Indian people are relationship oriented. Being negatively evaluated by others. Not knowing whether you are well or ill. Again, health related anxiety, right? What will happen to me in future? Losing control of yourself. Some people have that anxiety. Acting inappropriately, showing that you cannot cope. Here I have only taken few samples. There are many themes which are there in anxiety, but I have taken only few examples. What is important? In our life, we can have anxiety about many things. What we can do, we need to identify the theme, then we can deal with one thing at a time. So it is very important to deal with one thread, at a time, one theme at a time. You can have anxiety about 5, 6 things or 10 things, but it is important to select one thing and work till what time you move from anxiety to concern. Then, there are obstacles in facing threat. There are different obstacles. When we face the threat, what we tell ourselves, it's too frightening to face the threat. Whatever danger is there, it is too frightening. I don't feel confident to face the threat. Then I don't feel comfortable facing threat. I can't face the threat because I don't feel in control. And then finally, I can't face the threat because I don't know what is going to happen. So these are mainly the obstacles we face. Then not only that, now how we can examine the accuracy of our threat. That is again very important, and that will be taken over by Pradnya Mandlecha. Yeah.
It is very important. However, we have n number of threats related with anxiety. Now we have anxiety, and with anxiety there could be n number of threats. Now we need to finalize which threat is the sure 100% threat for me. And you need to find out that threat which I have chosen, that's 100% right. You need to ask certain question to yourself. How likely is that threat will happen? Sometimes we think that I become anxious because of so and so threat, but probably that threat might not be the truth. Suppose the same situation, if somebody else see and face it, in that regard, probably according to him, this is what not the threat. So you need to analyze that how likely is that the threat will happen. Would an objective jury agree that the threat will happen? If not, what would be the jury's verdict? Am I viewing the threat realistically? If not, how can I view it more realistically? The threat might not be the real one. You are imagining this threat will happen. So you need to find out whether that threat is really realistically. If I ask someone whom I could trust to give me an objective opinion about the truth or falsity of my inference about the threat, what would the person say to me and why? How would this person encourage me to view the threat instead? If a friend tells me that they are facing the same situation as I am facing and are making the same inference of threat, what would I say to him, her about the validity of their inference and why? How would I encourage the person to view the threat instead? So right at the beginning, what we have thought is anxiety, thinking, emotion and behavior. These three triangular aspects are very, very important. So based on your thinking, probably your threat will differ from person to person. So we need to fix threat, we need to fix the theme of that threat. So identify and threat is very, very important. Questioning automatic negative thoughts, part 1. Is the thought true? If it is, what is the worst that can happen and could I cope with it? Fine. I have anxiety, I fix the threat, this is going to happen. But if it's going to happen, then what? Am I going to cope it with it? Then what? You need to ask this question. Which distortions are present in my thinking? Is there any other distortions in my thinking? Or I am thinking only in the one direction? Is there any other alternative thinking likely to happen? That also you need to ask the question. If my friend had the same problem as me, would I judge her as harshly as I judge myself? That means keeping yourself in other shoes and look at the situation. Probably that time you will think differently. Probably that time you will be able to identify threat in the different angle. What is the evidence for and against this thought? So you need to challenge your own thinking. What are the evidences for and against what I am thinking? Are there other explanations for the situation that are more reasonable or realistic? Is there any other explanation? Would a jury agree with the interpretation of events? You need to find out what could be the jury will identify pertaining to that particular event. Important last point. What are the short-term and long-term advantages and disadvantages of holding on to this thought? Suppose I am anxious about certain thing. Suppose I hold on that particular thought for a short period of time. What is going to be a consequences on me and on the situation? And suppose I hold the same thought for a longer duration of period, what is going to be the consequences? So you need to analyze short-term advantage, disadvantage, long-term advantage and disadvantage for my threat or for my theme or my thinking process which I am holding for. How might things look in 3 or 6 months time? Important. Suppose I have aggravated emotions at this particular time, but will I have the same kind of a intensified emotion to look at that situation after 6 months? Probably answer will be no. That's the reason we call ourselves maturity. Probably when somebody react in particular situation, we call it he is not yet matured, and down the line as we become aged or something like that, our maturity goes on and on to look at particular situation. If others do see me in negative way, do I have to agree with them? If I do agree, then what evidence do I have for my negative appraisal? Am I giving equal weight to the positive and negative factor in this situation, or am I focusing only on the negative ones? Again, very, very important. Situation is same, but how I am unbiasedly looking at that situation, how I am analyzing it, what are the positiveness and the negativeness, or am I only focusing on the negative ones? Probably that time my judgment will be different, my threat will be different, my thinking process will be different. Am I judging myself on the basis of my actions? Can my actions ever truly and totally define me? No. What steps would I need to take to determine if this thought is true or false? Even though the evidence continually points to the thought being inaccurate, what prevents me from believing the evidence? Does this thought help or hinder goal attainment? Ultimately, I have one particular goal to go ahead in my life. Whether this anxious situation is there or not, how am I going to reach out to that goal, and will that help me to reach or attain my goal? By holding my rigid thought, by holding my the thought which I have already made me so anxious about. So we need to find out and analyze and ask ourselves questions. Now these are all about questioning to find out all the themes, but other important thing is, one is on the basis of thinking and other is on the basis of belief. Because in the beginning itself, sir has told that to get anxious, one has to have that always there is a component of belief, emotions and thinking. So we have dealt to find out how to question so that we can arrive at our thinking process. But at the same time, all of us, we have some or the other belief system. It could be rational, it could be irrational. So we need to question ourselves, what is that belief is hidden in individual one. So you need to ask those questions. Questioning rigid beliefs and flexible beliefs. Questioning awfulizing beliefs and non-awfulizing beliefs. Certain people have a habit, if the situation is a small, but they will imagine with their thinking process and they will blow it and they'll make it awful. So they have these kind of patterns. So questioning discomfort intolerance beliefs and discomfort tolerance belief. You need to question that by doing this, am I able to tolerate that situation? Am I able to intolerate situation? Will that situation will be comfort or discomfort for me? Questioning self-depreciation beliefs and unconditional self-acceptance belief. Ask yourself 3 questions of these beliefs. Which belief is true and which belief is false and why? Which belief is logical and which is illogical and why? Which belief is helpful and which belief is unhelpful? So certain question we need to ask again and again for ourselves to identify thinking process and to identify the belief system. With this, sir will continue with the types of anxiety.
Yeah. Before I talk about types of anxiety, I will come back to the previous slide. We will understand exactly what is rigid belief and flexible belief, awfulizing and non-awfulizing, and discomfort intolerance and discomfort tolerance. All those things we will understand with the help of example, right? So I will show you just one example about these types of, thinking and belief. Like, so irrational belief behind anxiety. What are irrational belief? This threat must not occur. That is the rigid belief, that whatever danger or threat is there, this must not, absolutely should not occur. Then what is rational belief or flexible belief about anxiety? The concern when we are, I would prefer if this threat did not occur, but there is no reason why it must not happen. I will prefer that it would not occur, but there is no reason why it must not. Why? Because there is a possibility that threat may come into reality. But in rigid belief, I tell myself that absolutely must not happen. So I am not realistic because I am not ready to accept the possibility of the threat. Then it would be terrible if this threat were to occur. It will be awful. It will be end of the world. Then what is rational belief? It would be bad if this threat occurred, but it would not be terrible, horrible, catastrophic. It will be unfortunate, bad. Because more terrible things are possible. What we think is terrible, more terrible things are possible. I could not bear it if this threat were to occur. I can't tolerate it. I can't stand it if this threat occur. What is more rational belief? If this threat occur, it would be difficult to tolerate, but I can tolerate it. Here, I tell myself I can tolerate it. Then again, if this threat were to materialize, it would prove that I would be worthless. So I am depreciating myself that I would be worthless. Here I would be fallible human being. If this threat were to occur, it would not prove that I am worthless. Now we will see the actual example. I have just now explained, what exactly the rigid belief, and now we will see the example. I absolutely have to come across well to my peers and to my boss. Read rational belief. No, read.
So in case of concern, what will happen? Full preference belief will be there. I want to come across well to my peers and to my boss, but I don't absolutely have to do so. So that means I'm getting the flexibility, space for myself, space for other person also, that this thing can be possible, and I'm accepting the possibility.
So this demandingness is rigid belief and full preference is flexible belief. Then what is awfulizing belief? It would be awful if I did not come across well to my peers and to my boss.
Anti-awfulizing belief? It would be bad if I did not come across well to my peers and to my boss. But it wouldn't be awful. But it would be bad. Nobody wants to be go against of boss, but it is bad. Instead of awfulizing thing, you can say it is bad.
What is low frustration tolerance? I couldn't bear it if I did not come across well to my peers and to my boss.
In case of concern is healthy negative emotion. Now in this particular case, in anxiety there is a low frustration tolerance. So I cannot tolerate this kind of a situation. But in case of concern, I'll say myself with a high frustration tolerance, it could be bad if I did not come across well to my peers and to my boss, but it wouldn't be awful. Again, my self-talk would be bad, and my tolerance I'll increase, and that's the reason under concern, high frustration tolerance. And in case of anxiety, low frustration tolerance. I cannot bear that I am not in good books of my peers and my boss.
Yeah. What is depreciation belief? If I do not come across well to my peers and to my boss, this will prove that I am inadequate person. So I rate myself totally.
In case of concern, I acceptance of belief. What is that acceptance of belief? If I do not come across well to my peers and to my boss, this will not prove that I am inadequate person. I am still adequate person. I am still capable person. Irrespective, I am in good books of my peers and my boss. Okay? Rather, I am a complex mixture of strength and weaknesses. As my boss and peers are the complex mixture of strengths and weaknesses, in the same way I am also the complex mixture of strength and weaknesses.
Yeah. We will see a small video clip in which first, it is about this. In this video, it is about the job, interview anxiety. The person, is thinking of giving interview. The first part, in the first part, what is irrational self-talk, rigid self-talk, and in the second part, whatever till now we have talked, he is challenging that person is challenging that. So after that, it will be very clear what we discussed so far, today. In video, only pictures are there. You just concentrate on the voice.
And I absolutely must do much better. Other people are not as anxious as I am, and therefore they can get almost any kind of job.
Is it audible?
My anxiety is a terrible handicap, and I'll never
Wait.
be able to have a good career as long as I'm anxious.
Speaker आवाज just a minute.
I'm very weak in interviewing, and I absolutely must do much better. Other people are not as anxious as I am, and therefore they can get almost any kind of job they want. My anxiety is a terrible handicap, and I'll never be able to have a good career as long as I'm anxious. It's such a weakness that it makes me a totally incompetent person. If I didn't have it, I'd be okay. So I hate myself for having it. It makes me a real basket case. What must those interviewers think of me when I shake and tremble in front of them and give them the wrong answers to their questions? A total idiot. And they're right. Of all the handicaps I have in the world, it has to be this rotten one. People in business will despise me. My friends will look down on me too, knowing that I'll only be able to hold a rotten job like the one I have and never be able to make any real advancement. My own family sees how weak I am, since even with my education and experience, I'm completely stuck vocationally. I'm really hopeless, and people can easily see that I am and that I'll never get anywhere in life.
Now, have you seen all four things are there, what we discussed? I must is there, then terribilization is there, I can't tolerate it, and he's putting down himself a lot. Yeah, now depreciating. Now, what we will see, how he is moving from those four components which we have seen of irrational belief, just now we talked, to rational belief. The same person, how he is disputing, how he is challenging the inference, that we will see.
Using REBT, you dispute these irrational beliefs and you come up with reasonable objections to them. You see that your anxiety is a handicap, but that it is not the worst thing in the world. You see that you are demanding that you be calm and unanxious at job interviews, and that this demandingness is actually making you anxious. You see the anxiety is a negative, especially in job interviews, but that it merely makes you somewhat incompetent, not a totally incompetent person. You see that your interviewers probably don't despise you for being anxious, and that some of them may not even notice how frightened you are. And you see that those who do notice may not exactly want you as an employee, but that doesn't mean that they think you are a basket case as a person. You see that it is wrong to hate yourself for being anxious. You should hate your anxiety, not yourself, and do your best to correct it. For if, you see, you hate yourself completely, that will make you even more anxious and will prove to you that you can do nothing but fail in job interviews. You see that your friends won't think much of your low-level job, but that they will hardly boycott you because of your holding it. You see that your family doesn't like your holding a poor job, but they still love you and accept you with it. You see that you have some real difficulties, but that even if you never conquer your anxiety about job interviews, you will not be a hopeless person who will get absolutely nowhere in life. Disputing your irrational beliefs helps you considerably, and you feel much better and determined to work on your anxiety. I am not greatly anxious about job interviews, and therefore I keep looking for a better job than the one I now have. I know what I know and have good job experiences, and I'm sure that I can show this to the interviewers. When I don't answer their questions very well, I stop and think and make another stab at it. If I get really anxious for a while, I take my anxiety in stride and go on. Everyone gets somewhat anxious at times in job interviews, and I guess I'm no exception to the rule. So there's no use putting myself down for my anxiety, and I work at not doing so. If the interviewers don't like me, I realize that they don't despise me personally, but just think I'm not the best person for the job. If I fail at getting some jobs, I realize that my friends and my family will accept me as a person in spite of these failures, and will not totally put me down. I know that most people fail at job interviews because the interviewers may speak with 20 applicants for each job that they actually have. So I'll keep trying in spite of my failures, and I'm pretty sure that one of these days I'll find the kind of job I really want and be able to keep it and progress with it. Write out this kind of optimistic and helpful sketch and go over it several times. Get it solidly into your head. See yourself as definitely less anxious and able to get through a job interview even when you are temporarily struck with anxiety.
Yeah. So I hope it is clear. It is important whatever threat or anxiety we have, to identify the four core irrational beliefs. We are going to talk more about that. And it is very important to challenge those irrational beliefs with conviction. To what extent till you believe them actually. Then only you will shift from anxiety to concern. That is very, very important. So this conviction is important. Now we will again see there are two types of anxiety. There are two types of anxiety. We were talking about this. Ego anxiety and non-ego anxiety. We will see, we have already talked about, a couple of things. What is ego anxiety and ego concern? Since we have already talked, in ego anxiety, there is something called as rigid belief and demandingness, that is, and self-depreciation. You put down yourself. Ego means self. It is the anxiety related to self. And what is ego concern? Flexible belief and acceptance. If you see, this person, just now we heard, has got ego anxiety. He is putting down himself. I am hopeless and all that. And not only that, he is demanding that I must, perform well in interview. But whereas, in later part of this, what we heard, he is shifting from self-depreciation to acceptance and shifting from rigid to flexible belief. So this is ego anxiety, right? Ego anxiety is, the main aspect is self-depreciation. Then what is another anxiety? That is non-ego anxiety, or another name is discomfort anxiety. This is really three things are there. Many times 2 or 3 things. Rigid belief, flexible belief, that is same. But here, terribilizing, anti-terribilizing. Discomfort intolerance or low frustration tolerance. Discomfort tolerance. I will give you the example. It will be very clear. Now, this is very important to understand. This is related to discomfort in life, what we face. And this is related to self. That is the most important difference. We will see with the help of example. First, we will see what is ego disturbance. I must do well in my exam, and if I don't, I am no good. Want to read rationally?
In case of ego health, my conversation or my talk will be, I want, but I don't have to. I would like to do well in my exams, but I don't have to do so. If I don't, I can accept myself as a fallible human being who is not doing as well as she likes. It must not, there is no must. It is better, I would like to do well.
Yeah. So the rigid belief and flexible belief, this is what, self-depreciation belief, what we just now spoke. I must be loved and approved by certain people in my life, and if I am not, that proves I am no good. So both, this also, rigid and putting down yourself, rigid and putting down yourself. Now what is the rational belief for that?
I want to be loved and approved by certain people in my life, but I don't have to be. If I'm not, that's a shame, but it does not prove I am no good in totality. I am the same person whether I am loved and approved or not. Very, very important. So if I've failed in something, or if I've not loved by somebody, it's not mean that I'm incapable person or I'm in-loving person. Like, there is a possibility that people although don't want to love me, but I am not total failed person.
So my worth remains same. It doesn't change. That's the most important thing. But if we link to what is happening to us, our worths, then we feel miserable and we invite ego anxiety, ego disturbance to related to self. Let's see, this is related to I must, ego anxiety. Then you must and life must. How rigid belief some people form about you must. If you don't treat me nicely, it proves that you don't think much of me. You must think well of me, and if you don't, it means that I am no longer any good as a person. That means I give too much power, to other person. If he thinks I am a dog, yes, I am a dog. So that's the important thing. So it is important that person thinks because you are no longer good, so you also believe into it. What is rational belief?
Rational belief would be, if you don't treat me nicely, it means that you don't think much of me. I would like you to think well of me. I would like you to think well of me, but you don't have to do so, because I do not have control on other person how he should be thinking about me. If you don't, I can still accept myself as a person. If you don't even think about me, it is okay. I can still accept myself as a person.
Now we will see, just like I must, you must, and life must. So these three rigid things are there. What is important? It's important for us to convert into flexibility. In this ego disturbance, this must and putting down yourself. So again here, life must. Life conditions under which I live must be easy for me. Life must be easy. Life must be hassle-free. Life must be comfortable. If they are not, then that's just a proof of my own worthlessness. So life is not comfortable to me, then I am no good. I am shit. All kinds of things I tell myself. And then other part,
I want life conditions under which I live to be easy for me, but it does not have to be that way. If they are not easy, then that does not prove that I am worthless. I can accept myself whatever life condition I face. Situation or life condition may differ time to time. In that particular situation, in some scenario, it would be in favor or it may not be in my favor. In that, it does not mean that I am worthless. I still accept, fine. In particular time I failed. In particular time I passed. But it does not mean that I am worthless.
Now we will see, we have seen ego disturbance. Now we will see the examples of non-ego disturbance or discomfort disturbance. What is discomfort or non-ego disturbance? Again, must. If I don't obtain my degree, I might have to settle for some kind of a tedious or manual job. I must achieve more than this and couldn't stand the hardship if I don't. So I can't stand it, So again, rigid belief.
That means in this particular case, non-ego discomfort or non-ego disturbance or non-ego anxiety. What is that? Here it is, low frustration tolerance comes. That is, I can't stand it if this happens. But in non-ego and healthy part, if I don't obtain my degree, I might have to settle for some kind of a tedious manual job. Fine, I might not be the expertise category. For the time being, I need to settle, or I may need to settle on the tedious manual job. I want to achieve more than this. No doubt, I want to achieve more than this. But I don't have to do so. Compulsory, something which has not happened. However, I have put my efforts and tried my level best. If I don't, it would be a struggle for me to tolerate the hardship, but I could not bear it, and and it would be worth it me to do so. That means in this particular situation, I can bear it. When I say I can bear it, that means my tolerance level has increased. And this is the example of high frustration tolerance, whereas in other case it is low frustration tolerance.
Yeah. So the moment I tell myself I can't tolerate it, I can't bear it, it means I will die. It will kill me. So it will not kill me. It will be difficult to tolerate life condition. It will be inconvenience, but I can tolerate it. Again, this is just like I must, you must, and life must. You must treat me nicely and look after me. I couldn't stand the hard life I would be faced with if you do not. Right. So now we will see the other part.
I want you to treat me nicely, but you don't have to do so. If you don't, it would be difficult for me to put up with the hard life I would be faced with. But I can do so, and it is worth it me to do so, or I can still tolerate.
Yeah. Now what about life? Just like I must, you must, life must. I must not be frustrated by my car breaking down when I just about to use it. I am so frustrated I can't tolerate it, because when I want my car and it is punctured, I can't tolerate it. And when I have special important work,
I don't want the frustration of my car breaking down when I'm just about to use it. But I don't have to have my desires met. If I did break down, and that would be a pain, but I can stand the frustration if it did. Certain things is not in your control. Sometimes car breaks, it's not under your control. So here it is in particular situation, you can still stand it and tolerate it.
Yeah. When I join a queue for some service, I must be served quickly. I can't stand delays in getting what I want.
Okay, in other side, when I join queue for some service, I want to be served quickly, because everybody wants that to be served quickly. But I don't have to be. Again, although it is a struggle, I can stand delays. I can increase my tolerance level to accept delays can be possible. I can stand delays in getting what I want, and it is worth to wait, because there is no other alternative. If there is other alternative, people would have taken it. But there is no other alternative and option in front of everybody.
This we already talked about. Now we will see what are the thinking consequences about anxiety and concern. Thinking consequences. What person thinks, thinking consequences, you overestimate the probability of threat occurring. You overestimate, right, the threat or the danger. I'll give you one example. When I was conducting training program in Reliance, that time they were supposed to bring VRS. So some people, met me after my training program, and they said, Nilesh, we see terrible pictures in our mind. Then I told her, what you see yourself? What pictures you see? What they told me, कि नीलेश ऐसा पिक्चर दिखता है ना माइंड के अंदर कि हमारे कंपनी में VRS आ गया है, मैं दादर के ब्रिज के ऊपर बैठा हूँ, भीख मांग रहा हूँ, मेरे सारे कपड़े फटे हुए हैं, मेरे बीबी बच्चे भी हाय 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 कर रहे हैं, you know. Now every person was supposed to get at least 25 lakhs, you know, at that VRS. But what is happening? Overestimate the probability of threat occurring, right? I'll give you one more example. One mother, you know, her daughter came, was late. She was supposed to come at 7 o'clock, but she couldn't come because there was some function in school. For that she went. What that mother started thinking, oh my God, 7:15 बज गए, अब तक मेरी लड़की नहीं आई, क्या हुआ रहेगा, कहीं उसका एक्सीडेंट तो नहीं हुआ रहेगा, कहीं वो किसी के साथ भाग तो नहीं गई रहेगी, oh my God, ये सारा मेरा ब्लड प्रेशर बढ़ रहा है, it is because of my daughter only, ये मेरी सब्जी भी जल गई, it is because of my daughter, मेरा उंगली भी कट गया, ये because of my daughter, oh my God, क्या हुआ रहेगा मेरे लड़की का. Now this is overestimating the probability of. If we ask a simple question to this mother, when last 10 times your daughter was late, what were the reasons? This question, just like she have taken, you know, automatic thoughts, how to question. These questions are very important, you know. Now, in concern belief is realistic about probability of threat occurring. Here, underestimate ability to cope with the threat. You know, we have tremendous, you know, potential to face the problem in life. But what happens in anxiety? When anxiety, I underestimate, you know. But here, in concern, I view the threat realistically. In anxiety, you ruminate about the threat. So all the time, you know, ruminating. Say for example, somebody is sitting for exam 1 महीने के बाद. What that person think? Reading, studying, trying to study. What that person think? Oh my God, ये नहीं समझ रहा है. एग्जाम में आ गया तो क्या होगा? और मैं नहीं लिख पाया तो, मार्क्स कम मिल गए तो, फेल हो गया तो what people will think, मेरा इज्जत का फालूदा हो जाएगा. Oh my God. And chain thoughts again and again, you know. Now, you know, I'm talking, you know, from a couple of minutes last. Now I will select one person from the audience. That person has to come and just brief in 5 minutes what we discussed. Who is going to come, I will decide. Now, you know, you have to come. Nobody has to come. I just did this to explain this point. Immediate, you know, what was the thought process? Some people, behavior, क्या था कि आई कॉन्टैक्ट करके, हाँ, whether it could be me, and if I could be me, then सबके हाँ सो सके इज्जत का फालूदा हो जाए, सबके सामने बोलने का, और वो प्रिपेयर्ड नहीं है फिर भी बोलने का. Did this thought only came once in the mind? It came again and again, right? So this is called, you ruminate about the threat. This was just a small example. This is just a threat. You know, immediately I'm asking you to come and talk, right? But this is ruminate. Whereas, you know, your realistic appraisal about your ability to cope with the threat, you know. So even, you know, say, इज्जत का फालूदा हो जाएगा. Say for example, you come here and talk. And say, you are not able to up to that mark. So, what that is bad. You are not able to talk, that is bad. It does not mean you are bad as a person. And if we have rigid demand in the mind, I must speak, you know, correctly, confidently, or, you know, perfectly, then what will happen? All the way you will be more anxious. I would like to speak in front of the group proper, nicely, you know, whatever I've been told, I would like, I will prefer, I want. But it is not a must, because there is a possibility that I may not. And if I am not, it is bad, but not terrible, horrible, catastrophic. And it will be, you know, it is inconvenience, but I can tolerate it. It is not that it will kill me. And it does not change my value as a person. I will remain the same human being. Now creates an creates an even more negative threat in one's mind. You know, we create has more irrelevant thoughts. Here, you know, you have most task relevant thoughts. Say for example in this the mother case, in her mind there are no thoughts to bring the daughter back. We will see another mother. Here what is this, task irrelevant thoughts, because her daughter is late and she want that daughter to bring her back. Now we will see other mother. सुबह 7 बज गया, अब तक मेरी लड़की नहीं आई, क्या हुआ रहेगा? मुझे लगता है ना वो ट्रैफिक में फंस गई रहेगी. आई विल वेट फॉर 15 मिनट्स. 7:30 बज गया, अब तक मेरा लड़की नहीं आई, क्या हुआ रहेगा? मुझे लगता है ना वो प्रोग्राम जो है ना वो थोड़ा लेट हुआ रहेगा. सो आई विल वेट फॉर अनदर 15 मिनट्स एंड टिल दैट टाइम आई विल फिनिश माई अदर वर्क. नाउ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? शी इज थिंकिंग रियलिस्टिकली. सो बिकॉज शी इज रियलिस्टिक, what will happen? She will after some time, still her daughter, suppose she doesn't, वो आता नहीं है, तो what she will do? She will act on dealing, because her thoughts are task relevant thoughts. You magnify the negative consequences of the threat and minimize its positive consequences. Again, this minimizing, in anxiety it happens. Then what about behaviors? There are some unconstructive behaviors and constructive behaviors. When we are on anxiety track, there are some behaviors. To withdraw physically from the threat, avoiding or withdrawal. Say some students, they don't sit for the exam. No, I don't want to sit. Avoiding, So withdraw physically, or, in concern I face the threat. I am realistic. Because I don't pressurize myself, because my belief is flexible. Here my belief is rigid, thinking is rigid. That's why, So what happens, like when I asked, you come and talk here, eye contact cut kar diya. So it is avoidance, because there is a rigid thinking in the head that I must come across in front of everybody perfectly well. To withdraw mentally from the threat. Some people, they withdraw mentally, or what they do, they just get engaged in some other activity. That is not healthy. It is very, very important to attend what is bothering you, right? Say for example, घर में बहुत ये पड़ा है, untidy है. आपने क्या किया? उसको सबको लिया और एक कोने में दबा के रखा. But it remains there. If you keep something under the carpet, it will remain under the carpet, right? It is very important to attend what is bothering. Then you deal with constructively to ward off the threat by superstitious behavior. Very important. Many times superstitious behavior it is many times defense mechanism to avoid anxiety. What happens? Decision making creates anxiety in some people. So what they do? I have seen some people in Maharashtra. They call it in Marathi kaul laune. Kaul laune in the sense what they take one coin and they try to paste it somewhere. If that get pasted there, then decision is yes. If it doesn't, it is no. Because that decision making create what? Anxiety, tension. So this is what happens. I confront the threat. Here it is a defense mechanism. Then tranquilized feeling. Many times some tranquilized feeling is also there, but some people use drugs. Drugs in the sense, not medicines I'm saying, not those drugs. Those drugs also, that is one more thing, like alcohol and all that. Medication. Say in the night you're not able to sleep. What is the easiest way? For some people, take medication. Or say threat related situation is there, carry medicines, right there. So whenever I will feel, I will take and comfort. But here, it is not seeking reassurance, guarantees, even though not reassurable. बार guarantee चाहिए होती है. Guarantee, there is no guarantee in life. Because जिंदगी में कभी भी कुछ भी हो सकता है. जिंदगी में uncertainty है. Anytime anything can happen. क्यों? Because क्योंकि क्या है कि कभी भी कुछ भी हो सकता है. There is one song also, राजेश खन्ना का. कौन सा सॉन्ग है? जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना, यहाँ कल क्या हो किसने जाना. That means future is not certain. But if I have a need of certainty in my mind, that I must know what is there in future, then I will go to astrologer. Because I want certainty, right? So superstitious behavior, it is like that. It is emerging from that. And then this guarantee, there is no guarantee. One person, one doctor came to me for a counseling. He said, whenever I take, a patient for operation, I feel usko kuch ho gaya to. मैं बोला तुम लोग थोड़ा केयरफुली करो ना. नहीं केयरफुली करने के बाद भी कुछ हो गया तो. देन मैं बोला तुम्हारे 2 डॉक्टर फ्रेंड्स को बुलाओ और तीनों मिलके करो. नहीं उनको सबको बुला के भी घर पे कुछ हो गया तो. So what that person want? Again and again, assurance and guarantee, right? Risk cannot be zero in life. Risk cannot be zero. So what we can do? We can minimize the risk. He can take proper care so that he can minimize the risk of something going wrong to the patient. Same way, गाड़ी बंद पड़ेगा इसका कोई गारंटी नहीं दे सकता है. पर गाड़ी बंद नहीं पड़ना चाहिए अगर उसके लिए हम प्रॉपर पेट्रोल भरते हैं, अच्छा क्वालिटी का इंजन ट्यून करते हैं, अच्छी तरह से टायर में हवा भरते हैं, तो वी कैन मिनिमाइज द प्रोबेबिलिटी. बट देयर इज नो गारंटी आफ्टर डूइंग दिस. द मोर गारंटी आई वांट इन लाइफ, more anxious I will become. The more I am realistic in life, I will become on concerned track. So here what I am doing, I don't seek assurance. I am seeking assurance, but when only it is reassurable, not otherwise, right? But here the person will seek reassurance, seeking safety from threat. Again, that is, again now we will see, this, ego anxiety and ego concern. There are 10 points are there. Now we will see in ego anxiety 10 different parameters are there. And non-ego anxiety, again 10 different parameters are there. What is ego anxiety? I will come back again within 1 minute. I will tell you what is ego anxiety, what we are going to talk. We are going to talk about this, and this, right? So, ego anxiety, rigid belief, that is must, and putting down yourself, flexible belief, and acceptance. Whereas non-ego anxiety, rigid belief, awfulizing or discomfort, and this. So the slides which are going to now show you examples in 10 different areas in life, here also in 10 different areas. So we have said first ego anxiety and non-ego anxiety. We will see quickly, what exactly it is. So what is ego anxiety? About failure. I must do well at work, and if I don't, I am a failure. I must come across people well. If I am not, I am failure. Say talking here, let's see. Not all people have that belief, right? Here, what will be the rational belief?
I want to do well at work, but I don't have to do well. If I don't, because there is a possibility that if I don't, I am not a failure person. I am a fallible human being who can succeed and who can fail.
Yeah. Now what is about poor performance? I must not perform poorly at work and let other people in my team down. If I do, this proves that I am not good enough if I perform poorly.
I would much prefer it if I did not perform poorly at work and let other people in my team down, but I am not immune for doing so. If I do, this does not prove that I am not a good enough. It proves that I am a fallible human being who can perform well and poorly. There is a possibility at some times I'll perform poorly, at some times I'll perform better than the colleagues. So there is a possibility.
So, we are coming back to the most important thing here, unconditional self-acceptance. That's the most important. The moment I link my acceptance to doing something, then I will feel miserable. But the moment I accept myself unconditionally and I don't link to doing, then I feel healthy negative emotion, not unhealthy negative emotion. So in ego anxiety, the most important matter is what? Accepting yourself unconditionally. probably the next session I'm going to conduct here, on unconditional self-acceptance, that is the most important. That if that is not there, that creates a lot of emotional disturbance. Today we are only talking about anxiety, but in other area like guilt, shame, many times in depression, hurt, in all these areas, unconditional self-acceptance is important. So do in this anxiety related. Then what is the third? Not being loved or liked. Say for example, let's take the example of that Jia Khan, right? Suicide. Because what? She उसको ऐसा लगा कि she is roaming with her right. Now, see this belief, not being liked or loved. I must be liked by, what was the name of that? Suraj, right? Yeah, I must be accepted by Suraj. I must be liked by him. I must be admired by him. And if I am not, I am unlikable. I am such a, dash. So, this is what rigid demand. Now, is there a possibility that the person may not like you? Yes or no? But when the person is on rigid belief, that person doesn't want to accept this belief. So, I want to be liked by people I admire. I want to be liked by Suraj or whoever it is. But I don't have to. And if I am not, it does not prove that I am unlikable. Everybody's taste is different. In some people, सबको सब सब्जी पसंद है क्या? नहीं.